what we would do is, in the event of a Chapter 7, if the case had discharged, we'd file a notice of motion to reopen the case, and we immediately just commence with filing an adversary proceeding. We never just sent letters making a demand. It was our practice to build the file, send the no action letters. We do have judges here who want to see actual damages. Unless, of course, that client has incurred some expense, has had emotional distress as a result that can be established. Normally, our judges are not inclined to award damages. So my prior firm, I mean, we would file these APs, and all of them were settled, ultimately settled. None of them went to trial because obviously the creditor is looking at this from, a cost analysis, saying how much is it going to cost to litigate this versus how much is it going to cost to settle. So we would ultimately settle these cases, but we never considered, I guess, sending the demand. Our thing was building the file and having our ducks in a row so that we could pursue and file an AP through the bankruptcy court. So
yeah, and I think building the file is important, but look, part of when you represent debtors, what do creditors do? If the client misses the payment, they don't send no action letters. How do they treat our clients? Did they give, oh, you made a mistake? So part of what I'm wanting our people who represent consumers is we have to become more aggressive. And that's also borne out in the case law. So much of the case law is pro-creditor because not enough things are being brought. And the other thing is, when you send the no action letter, if they stop, you've still invested time.
That is correct. But
this is exactly, remember what I was telling you about my girlfriend who used to do the FDCPA work and moved to California, and I had wanted to learn how to do it from her? This is what I was telling you. She was always doing it the way that Daniel is saying, with the demand letter at the first instance, and they had an attorney on the file in case litigation was necessary. But they never planned on litigation and rarely had to actually engage.
And it makes sense because, like I said, we would be sending out the certified mailings. How much is a certified letter today? $6.50?
Right, who's going to reimburse us?
Right, the time speaking with the client. Obviously, I'm scanning and saving the collection letters. I'm prepping the file as if I'm going to file an AP. And obviously, if the creditor stops doing the acts complained of, then my former employer would simply just close the file, and he considered it, it's part of doing, what we need to do for this client to represent them,
Right, but it's clearly not contemplated in the flat fee, especially for a 7. So anyway, so Daniel, this is exactly why, when I heard about Tiffany and you and this training, this is exactly why we wanted to deep dive this with you guys, because we don't know how to monetize this the best way. And our understanding is you do.
I mean, there's a lot of lazy attorneys out there. So they'll send a response. We didn't do anything wrong. This is where the case law is so powerful, guys. And your communications with creditors, when you know your stuff, you're going to get a way different response. If you're timid, because what do they all say? Oh, this was just an accident. This wasn't a willful. This is not a big deal. And again, if the shoe is on the other foot, and your client mails a payment and they send it to the wrong address and then it's late, how does the creditor, their policies are in place. And the way I look at it, sometimes I'll explain to creditors, I'm like, man, you can't go rob a bank and then realize that was wrong and give the money back and have no consequences. I've had to invest my time. My client had to file bankruptcy, which they didn't want to do. They're not proud or happy. And they thought it was going to give them protection, and it didn't. And so to you, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but to them, it's like they can't win at life. Even bankruptcy can't help them. So when you communicate from that place of power with case law, you'll find, look, I settle 95% of my cases. You don't really want to go to trial because he brings up a good point. You got to look at your judges, right? Now, luckily, the creditor has more than just cost. They don't want to set precedent either, right? So you're going to be able to get settled. And, you know, whether it's the FDCPA, a discharge violation, a stay violation, guess what? Attorney's fees are actual damages.